Hello and welcome to Geometry with Mr. Clausen. Today we are going to continue on the second part of our BPP 3D construction project. And if you have this handout, really the majority portion of this project that we're going to focus on today is part 2. And specifically what we're looking at today is the second portion of the project that involves the 40 points associated on the creating walls and appropriate elevations portion of our project. So we'll walk through how to construct your walls, and we'll for both exterior and interior, and then look at a lot of the components as far as how to use your architectural template to go and draw specific things on the walls. And then, looking at light switches and those type of things, and make sure that we have all these components in place so that when you guys get this submitted in, it's all really high quality material. So, again, looking at the 8-foot walls in relation to the 1/4 inch to 1 foot scale, which is the 48 to 1 scale, one and the same. And what we will be using for this is we'll use, things like cardstock like this, to get this set. And so what I want to do, again, is just show you the apartment plan that I'm basing this off of. You can, again, go exactly off of this plan, which is, for the most part, what I'm doing here. But you can also embellish and do some different variations and those type of things. And I am going through some of the other embellishments that I do want you to do in addition to that regular blueprint that I was just showing you. So one of the things that I left for you to do the other day is just, placing in your outlets. I have the outlets in the bathroom, 3 in the bedroom, and then a nice array throughout the dining room and living room. I maybe want a little bit more than what I needed in the living room, but it's your living room. This is like the electronic hub of your home. Maybe just shortly behind it, your kitchen in terms of the electronics that you have. And so this is a really good end place to be with where you're at. And so to get started with this second part is going to involve, drawing out some walls. So the first thing that you need is you need poster board or you need cardstock. I'm going to show you with cardstock here, but you should have some poster board. And what I would do is, if you have a paper cutter, those work really good. Those little table things with like the nice long blade that you can slice down. As long as the blade's sharp, that works really good in getting these cut out a little bit quicker. I'm going to show you how to do it with a scissor, because that's what I have handy on me right now. But if I want to make 8-foot tall walls, the biggest take home that you should bring here is that 8/4 inches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, is going to be the height that this needs to be. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just start cutting out some chunks for myself here. I'm not going to cut it this long ways because I won't need a wall longer than this. So if you're dealing with 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper, this should be fine. And generally what I like to do is if I want like a marking and I don't have something like a long paper cutter, is I'll just make 3 or 4 dots along the length of my paper, and I'll just go, try to average it out between the 4. Again, you do get a 1/16 of an inch of tolerance, so hopefully this keeps you within that parameter. And I just drew a line that I can use to make my wall. So I'm going to go take a handy dandy scissor. You will need this for this project, and then just cut along. Alright, so now I have a few chunks of wall here. I got 5 to get started. That should really get me a lot of what I need. And if you go and you eyeball this up, I mean, these should all be really close to the same length. And again, remember, you're aiming for like that 1/16 of an inch tolerance. And you can see here that this is pretty spot on in terms of those measurements. So this should at least get us a very large majority of what we need. The 2 sheets of poster board that I gave you should be more than enough to get you through this project. So big part of what we're going to be doing here today is just making the walls and drawing on them. And then what I will do in the third part of this video series is, attaching all this stuff to paper and those type of things. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go and take my walls and I'm going to start labeling where things are, okay? And so anything for the sake of convenience, I'm going to aim for about the middle of these walls. And so what I'm going to do is start just drawing in some landmarks on each of these sheets of paper. So one thing I like to do is, kind of indicate where something needs to be cut off. And a lot of times I'll just do an X like that. And that just tells me that that's the part I need to cut and remove. And then I need to start indicating where things are. Okay, so for example, that is my window. All right. This is my door. And this is my other window. Just so I know where things are in terms of, this relationship and where things are. And one of the things that you should take into consideration as far as when you're doing this assignment is think about the general height of these doors. So, most doors, exterior, interior, they're 80 inches tall. And so once you add like furring out everything and whatnot, the opening is 7 feet tall. And so it's generally 1 foot from the top of your wall. And what you're going to notice for, most of these measurements is that everything's going to be about 7 feet off the floor. And I'll explain what I mean by that in just a moment. And so if I'm going to go and I'm going to go start drawing these out, I'm just going to start drawing some of this just so I know where it is. And actually, I'm going to try to make sure my wall is parallel to the paper and that my ruler is parallel to the paper. And so that way, when I'm drawing this line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, these lines should be parallel to each other. And right now, I'm just drawing in where the door is going to be. And just so I know which way the door swings with how I'm laying this out, I'm going to go put a doorknob on it. And, just for the sake of doing it, let's add some hinges too. That way I will hopefully not forget, which way this door swings when I'm going and I'm doing all this. And the other thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to label my window here. Now, when I start doing this, I usually keep track of my window dimensions as well. So I can tell you that this window is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 feet exactly. So this is an 8'0" window. And now I have to choose how tall it's going to be. And I'm thinking of that if this window's this big, I'm going to go with a 5 foot tall window. I mean, it just seems like the classy thing to do to just make this a nice big window. Now, what I will tell you about apartment floor plans, or really any house, is that when you're inspecting where your windows are going to be, your windows should always, the top of the window should always be 7 feet from the floor. I don't want, windows really low, like 4 feet from the ceiling, or 4 feet from the floor as far as the starting point, and you have to play limbo to go and look out your window. That just is absurd. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my ruler here. All right. That's 1 foot below the ceiling of a standard 8-foot wall. Everything you'll do in this class is going to be based off of 8 feet. Alright, and that's my 5-foot window. Okay, we're going to do the same thing here. I'm just going to go a couple inches out this way so I can, I feel like my walls are pretty squared up with the paper and this and that, so by doing this, my assumption is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That'll be pretty square on. I mean, I got a pretty nice window going on here now. And as far as your project goes, if you choose to do it on the outside or you choose to do it in the inside, I won't make you do it twice. But what I would like is, for you to go, and again, just whatever side you choose to write it on, go ahead and mark it so you know that it's the same window. And so now, as you see, if I start tipping this up on my landmarks there, you can see that this is matching up perfectly. So I'm just drawing all these out now so that we can, go and write those and figure those out. And I think what I'll do is, instead of cutting this off right away, I might actually leave this on here and fold this and then use this to go and give me something to tape onto after I fold it. And so this wall's getting a lot of the things done that I need to get done with it. So the last window I'm going to do, this is a 4-foot wide window. And generally, if you have a 4-foot wide window, you at least have it 3 feet wide. And part of the reason for that, or 3 feet tall, I'm sorry. And part of the reason for that is that you're required to have at least 12 square feet of space for any window attached to a living area, just because it gives you a fire escape. And so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go a little bit bigger and go 4 foot 4 by 4 foot. And so now with this, what I'm going to do is I kind of have my tick marks here going on. So I'm going to go, I'll just line it up just because it gives me a nice little reference to go off of. And I see it goes from 7 to 9 inches. So that's 2 feet. So foot from the top, 4 feet down. And foot from the top, 1, 2, 3, 4 quarter inches down. And we're just going to start drawing in some of our windows. And go on with some of that. Again, go ahead. I'm just going to rotate it so I'm looking at this right side up. 4 foot 0, 4 foot 0. So we just did our first wall. We got a pretty good idea of what this is going to look like. And while we're at it, this is going to tip up like this. All our writing's going to be on the inside. I'm actually going to cut this because we're going to want our door to swing. And I'm going to carefully cut this. Don't cut it all the way through. Sorry. Make sure you can see that. Okay. And you gotta be a little bit careful with this so you're not undoing your work. Actually, a good way to do this is get something firm behind it so that when you're bending that paper back, you can get a decent crease out of it. Alright, and now you got your 3 foot wide door that'll swing. And so now once we get to taping this, you'll have this, the door swings as such, and it'll make things nice and easy for us. So this is your first wall. And what I'm going to do is set this off to the side here so that it's, and I'm also going to show you how to draw in your outlets using your architectural template. And what's really cool about these templates is they're based off of the 1/4 inch to 1 foot scale as indicated on the top. And you have all these things that you can draw on the floor plan, but you also on the side here have all these elevations that you can include. And so one of the things I'm going to go do here is I'm going to show you how this works. And so if I go and you see where it says floor line here, I'm going to zoom in so you can see this a little bit more clearly. So if you see where this says floor line, there we go. You can go, and if you put the bottom of your wall on the floor line, you have the height of a chair, table, desk, piano, and now a light switch. And so what I can actually do is I'm going to draw in the light switch on this wall. And that's just me drawing like a couple rocker light switches here. Just in case you don't know, this is a light switch. Suppose you could draw a dollar sign, I suppose. But, you know, I'm just trying to draw a scale, like, you know, what this might look like and how to use this template. It's a big thing I'm trying to get communicated right now, like with this video. All right. And so now that we have that front wall done, this process just involves going and taking other slips of our paper and trying to figure out what some of the other walls are. And so I'm going to go, let's do this wall next. I want to do this one. And what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to go just a little bit over. I'm just going to indicate this is where the fold's going to be. And again, I'm just going to have it overhang a little bit so that I got something to tape to and make this a little bit more sturdy. And I'll do the same over here. There's actually nothing to really draw in here because this is just a wall with a couple outlets on it. There's nothing really to go and include here. So what I'm going to go do is I'm just going to use this as a quick straight edge. I'm going to assume that this piece of architectural template is 90 degrees. And as you're seeing here, I'm just going in making a little extra on both sides. And again, the only reason I'm doing this, keep that for a later part, is if I go now, let's just take a ruler, make sure and I think just for the sake of seeing this, alright, I'm just going to draw myself a couple guidelines. I'm eyeballing the perpendicularness of this, but I think it'll work. And again, all I'm going to do and if you're really nitpicky and you don't like the lines that you use to make sure that's straight, oh, sorry. I'm just going, folding carefully along the lines. And if you don't want to see those lines, whether they're inside or outside, you just erase them if they bother you. Alright, and so all I'm going to do with this is just going to give me a little bit of something to tape on here as we're going through. Just make sure that these tabs aren't so long that they're going to cover up other important stuff. So that might be the only issue, or if you want to draw other furniture and stuff on there, you can do that. So now, again, just to show where we're at, you know, we got our nice big wall here. This can overlap a little bit on the outside. We have a very solid place to add some tape, and that'll go across there. We can fold this around as well, give us another very solid place to tape. There's no windows or anything there, so we're in a good spot. We got two of our 4 exterior walls done. Now this wall, I'm not going to worry about having a little flap hanging out or anything like that, so I'm going to go this way with it. Again, I'm aiming for about the middle of the walls as far as where I'm taping. So I got a window there. If I want to draw some other things, you know, I could go and draw like a refrigerator, you know, in my stove, and just indicate where some of these things are now. You know, again, just as a marking point. I'll have some walls attached to this, so that should cover most of that up. And I got a window there, so that should definitely help me out. And then this is going to be where my folding point is. Alright, so I got some key things indicated here. Now, with this window here, again, I should start marking this, and I think I'll do a 4-foot by 3-foot window here, just so you can see what that may look like and what that entails. So if I'm going, again, I just have those markings there, so I'm not moving it around. And again, this is just going to help me out so that when I do finally get to the point where I'm taping everything down, everything's where it needs to be. And don't tape stuff too early. Taping should be one of the last things that you do, because if you tape all this stuff up and then you're like, oh, I didn't draw any of these things down, oh, is it fun to undo all of your tape work. Not something I generally like to have conversations with students about. So, and actually I said 3 feet, so I'm going to erase that just a smidge. Boom. I feel like that's going to be kind of an odd window, but it's all right. Alright, and this is our 4-foot wide by 3-foot high window. So that's our first location that we want to be. And just for the sake of going through this and looking at this, let's go ahead and draw in a refrigerator. So if you have this sheet, this is really handy. Most refrigerators are about 70 inches high. So remember that 6 feet is 72 inches, so this will be almost 6 feet high. And just for the sake of, you know, using template here, go and draw in this 6-foot tall refrigerator. Oh, that's funny. You flip the ruler over and it's like on the exact opposite side. So no matter how you lay it, it's pointing the wrong way. That's kind of fun. Alright, so and then we'll go, and I'll still be within a 1/16 of an inch. And you know what? Let's make one of those French door style refrigerators. Have a little fun here. And we'll offset it just a little bit. So actually no, it's a chest freezer on the bottom, so we don't want to offset it. That'll look weird. All right. Does that look like a refrigerator? I feel like that looks like a refrigerator. Could be wrong. But now what this allows us to do a little bit is to go and, you know, we can even try to set up things like, you know, where our tables and desks and those type of things. You know, most countertops are about 3 feet off the floor, so that's generally the same height as like a table. So you're gonna see, yeah, so that's almost 3 feet right there. So that's pretty standard. And again, that just allows you again to use the template here and just draw a few of those tick marks. And I also indicated where my wall ended there. So again, it just makes it really slick. See, that's definitely sloped, so one of those tick marks is a little... And now we'll just go, I don't have it centered here, let's go and put it up here. And again, I'm just trying to make it parallel to the lines on the paper so that when I go and check if the ruler's parallel with the paper, it gives me a really quick barometer of whether it's close. And again, I'm drawing these options because you are required to do one 3D object. So just going through and labeling some of these gives me a few options about what I want to pick and choose. And I'm just actually going to use this for like the window of my oven. And, you know, for the sake of it, let's put a thing on top here. And let's see, do I have really tiny circles? I don't have super tiny circles. Maybe we'll put like... put some buttons on there, that type of thing. So we should be good for a little bit here. And so now we have like our kitchen, that type of thing. This is where it's going to go. We can see where all these things are. We'll put some extra walls and stuff here for a lot of this. And now what we're going to do is go and start on our vanity. So again, using the template, now we're going to use the bottom half here. So we'll zoom in a little bit again. So as far as where this wash bowl is, get that floor line lined up. The wash bowl is your lavatory. All right, and the lavatory is going to end about there. So that's where the wash bowl ends. And actually we can go, you know, because you know 2 unique points make one unique line. For some reason I can't draw my dot in the right spot. So that's our lavatory, that's our bowl there. So go based on the edge of the paper again. I'm just using some perpendicular transversal theorem here. It's going to get us close. Actually, this might be the better way to draw these lines. I'm not sure why I didn't just do that earlier. But you know, in terms of like your lavatory, your sink, maybe it's like a bifold cabinet thing, and you got some nice, you know, base trim on it. Maybe you got some nice molding, I don't know. Got something on there. Got a couple handles on it. Maybe you got yourself a nice faucet. And you can go and do whatever you need to with. And then as far as the toilet, you know, if the toilet's not facing in the right direction, don't try to force it. You know, don't, if you're going and you're drawing your sink here, you know, again, just in case you didn't see it, you know, that's where your wash bowl is. Your toilet, don't try to force it and go like, oh, well, my toilet is obviously sitting the wrong way here. Like, don't force yourself to use this. What you can use for your toilet, if it is needed, is you do have a line for your toilet seat. Alright, and so you can go and you can draw, let's just draw 2 lines for our toilet seats. Again. And I'm going off of this guy here on my template. It's about 1.5 feet wide. So if that's my toilet seat, my toilet bowl must be above that. I'm eyeballing this a little bit. But, you know, got your standard toilet, and thinking about where the handle is on mine, let's go and put a handle right there. So, you know, a lot of what you need so far is now getting in place and being where it's going to be. Again, I'm showing you a lot of the different tools that are on your template, and I do want you to use the template. Really, where this project is going to require you to use the template is the bathroom. So the kitchen would be extra, but again, I'm just going through some of these things so that, you know, as you're thinking about what you want your 3D object to be, a lot of students do the refrigerator, so do the refrigerator. If you want to do the stove, do the stove. If you want to do multiple things because it's fun, you know, go ahead and do multiple things because it's fun. And so now what I'm going to do is this is all lining up pretty well. You can see, you know, how this is all coming together now. And so what I want to do at this point is, you know, let's put some window dimensions on here. I don't think I'm going to go 5 feet tall. I think I'm just going to go 2 foot, 3 foot. So that's 2 feet wide, 3 feet tall. And what that'll give me there is that now if I'm drawing this, now this tick mark here is my wall here. And I'm going to practice this thing I mentioned earlier. That'll be one side of my window. That'll be another side of my window. And now I just need a ruler to go and do some of these measurements. So a foot from the top. And again, the ideal with the foot from the top of 8 feet or 7 feet from the floor is that a lot of people are between 5 and 6 feet tall. So if you have a window that the top of it is 7 feet from the floor, then, or 1 foot from the top of an 8-foot wall, then you're going to be in a pretty good set as far as, you know, where things need to be. And I know my window probably should be off to the left 6 inches. If this was a house that my wife was moving into, she'd be like, you know, that looks weird. And now this is 2 foot, 3 foot. My wife doesn't really sound like that, but she would say that would look weird. Even when I do remodel projects now, like usually there's like something that doesn't look exactly right. And it's like, it's always kind of funny. But anyway, she's a very detailed person. So, going through, just going to mark that. Technically, this is my bad side. I'll just do a small X on it in case I want to, you know, change it later. But I will just fold that for now. Alright, seeing a lot of different template stuff. And now if I go and I place this up here, I'm going to zoom back out just a little bit. if I go and start looking at this, all right, I got some nice things to tape onto. I could, you know, actually draw in like the shower head and that type of thing, and just make sure that this stays on the inside. And I could actually do that. I could go and draw an X on here. And so if this is going to be on the inside, what I could do here is I could also include things like the shower head. So the shower head's probably going to be towards the rounded part of the tub, or we can do that. And so what I'm going to do, again, is take my template, lay it down here. So I've used the toilet seat, the wash bowl, and now I'm going to do the shower handle, which I'm going to do right there, the shower outlet, and the shower curtain rod. And so, you know, we'd have our curtain rod up here. You know, so let's go, and again, I'm embellishing here. I'm having a little bit of fun. Want to encourage you guys to do that. It's worth having a little bit of fun with this. That's supposed to be a curtain, you know, and then it's like all wavy and stuff. And I left it open just a little bit because this is where the shower handles are. Alright. And I guess if you wanted to, this could be the view of like where the shower handle is. You know, so if you have like one of those type of shower handles. I'm just labeling this, you don't need to do this, but so let's go draw our shower in here, or our shower tub combo, and remember that the shower outlet should be right at that level. So let's go and so that's our shower head. You know, so I'm drawing it from two different perspectives because again, this is where I'm folding it. All right, and this should give you a really quick synopsis of how to implement a lot of these things. I'll do the handlebar as well when I do the interior wall here. Actually, it'll be along here because this would be a good place for a handlebar as far as looking at some of that. And so hopefully just with this video you're getting a nice glimpse of kind of, you know, how a lot of this can go. And now if you can kind of notice here, I'll drop it and turn the perspective a little bit, is you go and you have like this nice little shower. You can see where the height relative to everything is. Alright, so far what you can see is that we have three sides, and so we can draw this in real quick, and I'm just gonna fold that. And again, just having these little folds too can be helpful as far as indicating where things should be. And as you've probably noticed, this takes a little bit of time. Don't rush it. That's when this gets frustrating again, is when you rush it and you're not giving yourself the time that you need to do this adequately. And so now this is the last exterior wall that I have here. And I think what I'm going to do for this video is I am going to finish the exterior wall, and then I'm going to make a part 2B for this video series so that you can see me do the interior walls and do that part. Otherwise, I'm afraid that this video is going to get really long, and I don't want these to turn into 1 to 2 hour marathon videos. But what you should see here, I guess with this last one, is again, there's going to be overlap on both sides here. So what I'm just going to do is move over here a little bit, is just go and draw that tick mark right there. And again, what's going to be super easy about this given ordeal just draw that line. And actually, do I want that to overlap a little bit the other way? Nah. There are a lot of different ways we can tape this on and do what we need to do. And again, how you'll attach these, there's a lot of different methods. There's tape, there's glue, a lot of different tools at your disposal as far as attaching these on. But I think this is what I'm going to do so far for this is, you know, we'll just do it this way. Maybe I'll use glue for that specific connection, just so it's nice and, you know, flat. I'll have that other interior wall there. Again, how you choose to do this can vary slightly. I like having just a little bit of overlap because what happens sometimes is that if students just go and if they, you know, like butt two pieces of paper like this and try to tape it, it never really kind of makes a nice corner like they'd like it to. It tends to kind of smush out or smush in. So I would encourage you not to do it that way, but just things to be mindful of. And with that said, hopefully this video gave you an idea of how to cut the walls for these particular positions. Go and draw all those out, and how to use the architectural template to go and draw in a bunch of these little details. And what I will do is I will make a part B of this video and draw out some of the interior walls and practice that a little bit with you guys. And then the last video that we'll do is just how we're going to tape it all on and some pointers to use with that. So with that said, we'll see you soon.